When Barden wanted to get into the Energy Star program probably 15 years ago or so, I remember Eric telling me the story. They brought them in to actually take a look at what Barden was supplying, 2x6 construction with the type of roofing, windows and doors, etc. And ironically enough, Barden was already supplying an Energy Star efficient home before even getting onto the program. So that's something that the Barden, the family-owned company, really prides themselves on. But this isn't one of those ways. You got a California corner at the edge of your house. So it allows you to get that insulation all the way to the corner, keeping it nice and tight. Okay? You're going to see a lot of this. You may see it in some of our wall panels on the other side as well. Now, as soon as everything is cut, we're going to go to our next station, and we're actually going to be taking those components that are nailed together and putting the window and door openings together. Now, one of the things you'll notice here is the software. The wall table line is called our IBS system, or the Intelligent Building Software. It's just our wall line software that we're using when we built this facility. However, since then, we've actually switched over to a MyTech program that actually works intertwined with this table. But if you filter over here, folks, I want you to be able to see this here. It gives them a visual monitor that tells them exactly what we're going to be building that rough opening to, or that window and door opening. So again, you can see here it tells them exactly whether it's a 2x8 or 2x10, or if it would be an LVL. It tells them exactly what that header unit is going to be built out of, as well as the exact rough opening. So again, when you get into that customizing things, in the designing of the plan, say for instance you wanted a different style window, like a vinyl, a Simonton vinyl window versus an Integrity. We had the programs that allow to flexibly build that to exactly what that opening is. I built a home about a year and a half ago for a customer. It was a young couple, and one of their gifts for building their home from her father was a custom cherry door. He was actually in the carpentry industry. He wanted to build them a custom cherry door. So what he did, we said, sure, why not? So he provided us the rough opening that we needed for that door that he was actually going to be building. We incorporated it into the design for him. And so when it showed up, when that wall panel showed up at the job site, and then the door showed up, everything was a perfect fit for him. So you can see the design options and the flexibility in the design and drafting that can be utilized here. But they're going to be doing all the fastening right here. Then we're going to send it on down to our next line, which is called our framing table. We're actually going to be taking those window and door openings and putting them into a wall panel. Our quality control, okay? This is part of it. We'll actually start from a pile of material. Anything that is not acceptable, there you may see some other piles like this that are around. These are materials that have actually been rejected, things that they haven't wanted to use, and things of that nature. This is also an example. I didn't have a piece earlier, but that finger jointed stud that I was talking about, see how here, if you get up closer, you'll see how those are finger jointed. This is part of that becoming that green material package, becoming a little bit more eco-friendly, where these studs are actually fastened in and glued in. This is part of that green package. But this unit of material just kind of outlining the quality control out here. Now this here, you'll see here they have a visual monitor here that tells them what exactly that wall panel is going to look like that they're actually building. They will also cross-reference, which is very similar to what's going to show up at the job site. So they actually can cross-reference and see. So you can see how that California corner is illustrated. You can also see that, that plate that we have in here, how we're going to tie in that partition, that nailer that's going to be tied in. So they're also going to cross-reference what's going to be showing up at the job site so they know what they're actually going to be building. And I'll just leave this here so you can take a look at it. But this is linked to the table. This computer system is linked to the table. If you look onto here, you're going to see some lights that are illuminated. That tells them where all the studs are going to go, as well as your window and door openings. You'll see these yellow pucks, these yellow fingers that pop up. These fingers are all 16 inches on center, so they don't have to measure everything, and they can set everything into place. So they set everything in there. This is also the first time that they're actually going to square and squeeze this panel before they nail it together. And on this table, we can build up to a 12-foot high wall panel. So as I mentioned earlier, that 8 foot is like a standard height, but those 9 and 10 foot ceiling heights are popular, but up to a 12-foot high wall panel can be built on this. So they're going to set everything into place, all the studs with the window and door opening. Then they're going to come to this, this nailing dolly. This has a laser locator on there. Okay, it's got a laser locator so they can line this up to the dead, so they can nail this. These nails are going to be dead center of the stud. And Doug, is this in operation, Doug? So he's actually going to demonstrate for you how this actually works. Now our standard exterior construction, 2x6 walls, we're going to have 3 nails. But he's going to show you how this top gun lifts up and drives that 3rd nail in for our 2x6 walls, and shows you how he completes that. So I'm going to let Doug talk a little bit more about this.
I have a list of different walls that are in this. This is a garage, actually. I can highlight any line. My picture will change. Show me the layout of each wall. Each time this changes, my light pattern on the table changes. Okay. The lights show me what type of stud, whether it's a single or a double stud. We have light patterns that tell me I need a door or a window opening in there. So it's a repetitive situation where you have multiple inputs of information so that we get everything in the right place.
Also, Doug, man, this is where, Doug, can you talk a little bit on the crowning of these studs that you actually...
Absolutely. The gentleman that's on this side of the table pulls lumber off of these piles. He'll sight down the stud. He'll inspect it for quality, twist, crack, anything like that. If there's a slight crown in the board, he'll make sure that the crown is up relative to what we're doing right here. Okay. That just makes sure that when the wall is put together, it's not going back and forth like this. Okay, so you don't end up with drywall inside that has ripples in it. Gary did show you our reject pile. We have several of those throughout the facility. Anything that's unacceptable will not be used. It may be cut down into smaller pieces like we showed you over there on the truss line. We try and use as much material as we can. We are trying to become a green company. We reduce our waste as much as possible. Okay? But I'm going to nail this together for you real quick. This is a 2-person station. You see that there's another dolly on the other side. So we would put all of our material in place, make sure everything's aligned, and then I would clamp the table. Okay? So, I've got pressure on both sides, everything's held. You may have noticed that the fingers moved when I clamped it. Okay? That holds my studs in position. And then I'll start nailing. So you see my laser line, my laser locator here. That enables me to make sure that my nail tips or that my nail gun tips are aligned with the studs. Great. Gary, I don't know what's going on here, but there we go. Every once in a while something funny happens. What happened was my trigger mechanism slid off of the trigger. Okay, it's back in place. So we'll just go on down. There we go. Now, when I lift my top gun to fire that 3rd nail, it disables the bottom gun so that I'm not driving another nail on top of the bottom one that already fired. Now, Gary said that we don't measure. We do, in fact, measure certain things. The positions of the doors and windows. We use this computer to tell us where exactly they go in regards to, or in reference to the beginning of the wall. Okay. Certain things are measured, but the studs are not. Go on down the line. Make sure things are lined up. I've already pre-marked it, by the way. Now, the end studs we nail by hand, okay? That is a safety mechanism to prevent any splits from occurring at the end of the plate. If a split does occur for some reason, we have to tear it off. So in order to save time, we've made our employees use a handgun for the ends. Okay? So we'll get that aligned, make sure everything's flush, angle our gun. As you see, those are angled. Again, that's a mechanism to prevent the wood from working its way loose over time. Okay? So I will have done this, another guy on the top will have been doing it at the same time. A wall like this will probably take 5-6 minutes tops from the time that you bring it up onto the computer until the time that you roll it off the table. Okay? So once it's all nailed, We do a verification that everything's in place, release the table, and we'll lift the wall. Our arms swing out.